6:30 in the morning, June 6, 1944. The ramp of the first landing craft drops on Omaha Beach, and machine gun fire pours straight through the open door. In Company A of the 116th Infantry, almost every officer and sergeant is dead or wounded within 10 minutes. One small Virginia town, Bedford, population 3,000, loses 19 of its sons before breakfast. And here is the part that is almost impossible to believe. The Germans knew the invasion was coming. They had spent 4 years building a wall of concrete and steel to stop it. Yet, at the exact moment, 156,000 men hit the beaches. The one commander who might have thrown them back into the sea was 500 miles away, wrapping a birthday present. This is the largest seaborne invasion in human history. 5,000 ships, 11,000 aircraft, and 24 hours in which the fate of the world hung by a thread. To understand D-Day, you first have to understand the lie that made it possible. Through the spring of 1944, German intelligence watched a massive American army gathering in southeast England directly opposite Calais, the narrowest crossing of the Channel. It had a famous commander, General George Patton. It had tank parks, camps, endless radio chatter. It was called the First United States Army Group, and it did not exist. The tanks were inflatable rubber. The radio traffic was a script performed like a play. This was Operation Fortitude, and it worked because of something even stranger. Every German spy in Britain had already been caught and turned. The agent Berlin trusted most, a Spaniard codenamed Garbo, was inventing his entire spy network from a desk in London. So while the real invasion force slipped toward Normandy, Hitler held an entire army at Calais, waiting for a phantom. He would keep it there for 7 more weeks. Standing in the Allies' way was the Atlantic Wall, thousands of miles of bunkers, gun batteries, and wire from Norway to Spain. Commanding the defense, Germany's most dangerous general, Erwin Rommel. He crammed the beaches with 500,000 obstacles and over 4 million mines and made one prediction: the invasion must be smashed on the sand in the first 24 hours. For the Allies, as well as Germany, he said, it will be the longest day. But there was one thing Rommel could not fortify: the weather. On June 4th, a storm rolled into the Channel, and Eisenhower postponed everything, a million-piece machine, wound up and frozen. Then his chief meteorologist, Group Captain James Stagg, spotted something the German forecasters never saw: a narrow window of calmer weather, barely 36 hours long. Eisenhower paced, smoked, and gave the order with 3 words: "Okay, we'll go." That same day, he scribbled a note and slipped it into his wallet. No one was told what it said. Remember that note. The German forecast said invasion was impossible in seas like these, so the man who built the wall drove home to Germany, carrying a pair of Paris shoes for his wife's birthday. June 6th. Just after midnight, the sky over Normandy began to rain men. Over 13,000 American paratroopers of the 82nd and 101st Airborne, and thousands more British and Canadian, dropped into the dark, scattered for miles by cloud and flak. In the square of Sainte-Mère-Église, Private John Steele's parachute snagged on the church steeple. He hung there, playing dead, while the battle raged beneath his boots. To the east, 6 British gliders cut loose and whispered down beside a canal bridge, the first stopping 47 yards from its target. Major John Howard's men took Pegasus Bridge in under 10 minutes. The flanks of the invasion were being nailed shut, and the Germans still did not know the real blow was coming. Then the sun came up on something no one had ever seen. 5,000 ships filling the horizon. The naval guns opened fire, and the assault rolled toward 5 beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, Sword. At Utah, the current shoved the first wave 2,000 yards off course, and it saved them. They landed on a weakly defended stretch, led by Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt Jr., the president's son, 56 years old, walking with a cane. He looked at the wrong beach and made it the right one. "We'll start the war from right here." Utah cost fewer than 200 casualties. Omaha was different. At Omaha, everything that could go wrong did. The bombers, afraid of hitting their own boats, dropped too far inland. The defenses were untouched. 27 of 29 amphibious tanks sank in the swell, and waiting on the bluffs was a veteran German division that Allied intelligence had missed. The first waves at Omaha were cut down at the ramps, men drowned under their own equipment. For 3 hours, Omaha hung on the edge of failure. What saved it was not a plan. It was small groups of men deciding on their own to climb. Officers like Brigadier General Norman Cotter strolling upright through machine gun fire, shouting that only the men who moved would live. Rangers, lead the way. Yard by yard, they took the bluffs. The price, more than 2,400 casualties on the bloodiest sand of the day. A few miles west, at Pointe du Hoc, 225 Rangers fired grappling hooks up sheer 100-foot cliffs and climbed under fire to destroy 6 heavy guns that could shell both American beaches. They reached the top and found the gun pits empty. Decoys, telephone poles. The real guns were hidden in an orchard a mile inland. The Rangers found them anyway and melted them with thermite. 2 days later, barely 90 of those 225 could still fight. On Gold, Juno, and Sword, British and Canadian troops smashed through the wall town by town. By evening, the Canadians from Juno had pushed deeper into France than anyone. And the great German counterblow never came. The panzer divisions that might have split the beachhead could be released only by Hitler's headquarters, and in the decisive hours, his staff would not even wake him. Historians still argue how much that sleep really mattered, because by the time the tanks rolled, Allied aircraft owned the sky above them. The wall was broken. By nightfall, more than 156,000 Allied soldiers stood on French soil, all 5 beaches held. The cost of one day, around 10,000 Allied casualties, at least 4,400 of them dead, along with thousands of Germans and thousands of French civilians beneath the bombs. Numbers historians still debate, a cost they never do. And that note in Eisenhower's wallet? A confession written in advance in case the landings failed. The troops, the air, and the Navy did all that bravery and devotion to duty could do. If any blame or fault attaches to the attempt, it is mine alone. He never had to send it. 11 months after the ramps dropped, Nazi Germany surrendered. The liberation of France, of Paris, of Europe began here in 24 hours on 5 beaches, bought by men who were told the first wave might not survive, and boarded the boats anyway.